So logics, like I said in the last session, they're unique. There's only one logic of each kind in this world, so it doesn't exist elsewhere. It only runs in one place. So I'll try to create new logic right now, here, and say my logic. Rename it, then double click it. Here. There are many menus, but under the function menu, we're going to click on Begin Play. And things like server only will pop up, but I'm not going to explain it for now since we will get to them in the session on networks. So this also has something to do with networks. So consider them as part of the default setting for now. Okay, let's print out hello. Let's say MSW for this time, and click play. Sorry. Okay, I will bring this console right there for our convenience. And here, see, hello MSW is printed out when the game is played. So we can use this console panel to do something such as looking at logs or looking at other informations here. If you click on the exclamation mark, you can see where this code is running right now. For us, it's at my desk, my logic, line 7. This information can be very useful, especially when debugging. So please keep that in mind. And now that we've seen what logics are, let's move on to components. Here, I'm going to delete this, add a new component. I'm going to name it my component. Okay, so it looks slightly similar to logic, but somewhat different. When you click on function, you're going to see more event functions compared to logics. Again, let's start with on begin play. And I'm going to also print out something. Let's say beginning. Let's say beginning. Okay, so if you look at the console panel right here, it doesn't show up. And why is that? So like I said, logic, the one that I deleted, is unique in this world, which means it's constantly running in the back of this world. But this component, however, is created but not used anywhere yet. So which means there's no entity which is using this my component. So that's why it's not being executed. So if you want to run this component, you need to add it to an entity. I'll add this monster right there. Oh, you have to pause the game. And add this monster right here. And then let's add the component we made to him. My component here. Now it's edit, and now let's click play. Okay, so see, now the code here is running. The code here is running. So it's working based on this script, and this is what script does. It's responsible for distributing logs and to see if it's running. And the point is that components runs only when they are added to the entities. Okay, so what will happen if I make two of these? If I make two of these, copy and paste here. Exactly, now there are two. And if you look under this hierarchy, monster 27 and 27/1 will be running. And I'll see what happened. Okay, so when I copy and pasted this monster, the components and the scripts are running separately because they're added to a different entity. So even if this same component is added, still you have to assume it as a different component when there are two different entities. Okay, so now let's learn a little bit more about components. And so I'm going to stop them and focus on scripting here. First of all, now you know how to print hello world, right? I'll just leave this here and make a new component saying practice component. You cannot put a space in between when naming a component. Here. When you look at properties, there are many different data types. Any string, integer, number, boolean, table, and vector, etc. So these are all very useful. For now, just take a look what you have. And I'll just leave it as number for now. In when you print out something I'll do on begin play. For now, we just print it out like, for example, for num 1 through 10, increment by 1. We just print it out number, right? But if you want to tell what this is, you can say number. You can say number in here and dot dot, then number. So now you'll get to see the word number. Oh, sorry. You have to add the component here, practice component. And I'm going to disable my component here and then click play. Here. Now you can see the word number, right? First it was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you get this number. Okay, so this is how to use dot dot. And actually in other programming language, they separate integers and floats, right? But in Lua, you can just say number for integers and floats. In string type is a string, the words, like my name is number. So these are all strings. And when you want to add strings together, you also use this dot dot here. So for example, let's say you have a local variable a, which is an integer, local b is an integer. And to add them up, you just have to do a plus b. Yeah? But for strings, local, I'll say string a equals my name is, okay. Local string b, I'll say my name's Sun. Okay. And to add them up, you have to use the dot dot here, string B. Okay, and then let's see what happens. Okay, so here, sometimes it's just confusing. I'll just show you again. Here, you can clear out the logs if there's too much. Click play. Now you get this 12 from adding 5 to 7. And my name is Sana from the string A plus string B. You can give a space here if you, yeah, you can just give a space here if you don't like that. Anyway, this is how to use a string. And next, and lastly, there's something called vector. Vector, this is usually used for positions. Yeah, you can just set up numbers, change vector 2, 6, 7, something like that. Yeah, and I'll show you later on when to use vector. Until now, we've only used a local variable. So to make a local variable, we always had to like write local in front and say like string a equals blah blah blah. But then these local variables are only usable in this function. So for example, if I wanted to use in another function, here log a and b, it says that local the variable a is a unresolved symbol, b as well. So to prevent this, we can make a global variable underneath this property section. I'll put a right here and give the same value as this, and b to 7. Okay, so now these variables defined can be callable in any functions. Let's see. Oh, the error is still not resolved. The reason is that in order to use the global variables here, you need this magic keyword self dot something. See, the A is gone now. You also have to put self for B. And now you can see that value 5 here corresponds to self dot A, and value 7 here corresponds to variable self dot B. Okay, so let's see if this is true. And before that, I'll give you a small tip. In Lua, you can use this to dash to comment out the codes. Right now, I'm going to comment all those and to see the result of self.a plus self.b. Here, console. Okay, so what's happening right now is the code here is being executed every time that the server is on update. Yeah, this code was executed below this on update function. That's why this is happening. I was not going to explain it right now, but yeah. Anyway, we've got the result we wanted, right? 5 plus 7 equals 12. Okay, so this is what global variable is. And now I'm going to remove this and show you some more here. Now, let's look at what Boolean is. Boolean is a operator which only has two values. One is true and another is false. So the ones with true or false is called a Boolean. It's obvious, but still, let's print this out. Yeah. So Booleans will be very handy to use later on when doing some complicated stuff. But right now, just see what booleans are. And next, I'm going to show you some relational operators in Lua. Basically, it's almost the same as other programming languages, which is when you say two variables are the same, you use two equals, okay? And when you want to say it's not the same, in other programming languages, we use an exclamation mark, but in Lua, you use this. So this means not, okay? And then the rest are the same. A is greater than B, or B is less than A. Yeah. These are the basic relational operators used in Lua. So these relational operators will be used as a condition for if statements. I'll just show you an example. Let's say there is a score, say 6. I'm going to just delete them. And then if score is bigger than 10, then remember the syntax, right? I'm going to print log big. But then else if the score is bigger than 5, I'll print out log middle, okay? But then if the score is not bigger than 10 or either bigger than 5, I'll say else small. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, the code is printing out middle. It's because I said the score was 6, and 6 is not bigger than 10, but yes, it's bigger than 5. That's why right here, this log middle is printed. So this is a very easy explanation of what if condition statements can do. Next, I'm going to give you another tip. So just like other programming languages, you can use and or not in Lua too. For not, it's the same as this equation. Yeah, anyway. I'm going to add a condition right here. If, wait, I'm going to give you another variable, and I'll say grade is 7. If score is bigger than 5. So this statement must be true for now, but then I'll say and grade is bigger than 8. Then big. So remember, if it's and, both sides, both conditions has to be true. But when you use or instead, only one side can be true. I'll show you. Just say this is the same condition right here. The only difference is and or. Now let's see what this prints out. It's printing out middle again. Let's see why it is. So the score is 6. So for both of these conditions, it's true. But then, as I told you, for and, the other condition right here should be true, but it's false, right? Because we're still in 7th grade. So this will not be executed. But then, when we use or, only one side should be true. So yeah, this is printing out middle. Okay, so this was an explanation about logical operators. And next, it's nil. So what is nil? Nil means nothing. And for nil, whenever you use this in a conditional statement, it's always false. For strings, it's always true, as you know, but for nil, it's always false. I'll demonstrate that right now. Here, I'll say local A is 6 and local B is 7 and local C is nil. I'll actually change this into a string. Hello. Now, if this is nil, then log value. If it's not true, if this statement is not true, I'll say log none. And also for the string here, you can change this to C because C is equal to nil. If B, then log string. But if it's not string, say log none. Okay, so I told you that nil is always false, right? So this statement here will become false, which means log none will be printed out. But for strings, I told you that it's always true, so this statement here will be printed out. So in this console panel, you must have one none and one string. Let's see if that's right. Okay, so that was what happened, as I assumed. Exactly what I told you. And I hope you understand those concepts. Okay, and next I'm going to show you a for loop again, but with a slightly different example. Before, we tried to sum up from 1 to 10, right, in order. But this time, we're going to add from 10 to 1 in a descending order. Not ascending, but descending. So it's the same. You can just write a starting value here, which is 10. So the syntax is start value, comma, end value, and the increase value, increment maybe, and say do, and then end here. This is the basic syntax. For now, let's change this into real numbers. I want to start from 10 and end it when it's 1. In this time, I'm not increasing the value by 1, but I'm decreasing, so you have to put minus in front. Then I'm going to print out the number here. So don't forget to set the variable right here. I'm just going to say num equal here. Okay, and we're basically going to sum up. So I'm also going to make a new variable here, sum. And don't forget to add the numbers to sum. So sum equals sum plus num. So every time the number changes, this will keep on adding up from 10 to 9, 8, 7 until it's 1. Okay, so I want to show you the descending order of the numbers. So I'm going to print out number here as well as sum out there. Okay, so let's see. Here, it's nicely done. From 10 to 1, it's decreasing, but still it's summing up the numbers here, which is 55. So this was one example, and there's another tip for you. When you want to increase the value by 1, you can leave out this increment value right here. So for example, if I want to increment from 11 to 15, you don't need to put 1 here. It's the same as just executing this. I'll show you. See here, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this means that the default increment value is set to 1, so you don't have to worry about it here. So now we're done with for loops, but we can also do the same thing with while loops, right? I'm going to show you how. To leave this up there and write a while loop. While has a similar syntax with for, so after while, you have to put repetitive statement in the middle and then do and end right here. For us, I'm going to add numbers from 1 to 10, right? So I'll just say number is less or equal to 10. So it means when number starts from 1, number starts from 10, and as it is. So this code basically means while the number here is less than 10, so 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do this here. So while the number is less than 10, I'm going to add all of them in sum, and then I'll print out number to see if it's doing the right thing. And oh, it's number. And in this case, we have to do this. Every time this loops, the number will be incremented by 1. So in for loop, we have to put the starting value, end value, and the increasing value all at once. But in the while loop, you have to put the starting value and the ending value here, starting value, ending value, and the increment number here. Yeah, so this will basically do the same thing, but just to show you, I'm going to say while loop sum, call sum. Okay. You can just leave this or you can comment this out. I'm just gonna leave it. Okay. Right now, we've accidentally added the values here. I think it's better to delete them. And see, the result must be 55 here. Okay. So the while loop sum is 55, and as you can see, it starts from 1, ends at 10. So this was an explanation of for loop and while loops. Now let's move on to table data types.